The merchant vessel, gentle current, moved slowly through empty space, like a sick animal looking for a place to die. Its living walls, once bright, with soft blue light, now flickered weakly as the ship's nervous system failed, piece by piece. Captain Hannah felt the creature's pain through her bare hands pressed against the warm, breathing surface of the bridge wall. "Life support is getting worse," said Navigator Minho from his seat. His voice sounded tired and scared. "We have maybe 6 hours left before the air runs out completely." Engineer Jiho crawled under one of the nerve clusters that controlled the ship's movement. Green liquid dripped from damaged tubes above his head. "I cannot fix this, Captain. When we hit those metal pieces floating in space, the damage went too deep. The ship is dying from the inside." Hannah closed her eyes and tried not to think about her crew of 6 Cathara, who trusted her to keep them alive. Their people had always been traders and artists, not fighters. Their bioships were grown, not built, living creatures that carried them between the stars. But in a galaxy where only the strong survived, being gentle and peaceful made them easy targets. Pirates attacked them for sport. Other species ignored their calls for help, because helping the Cathara brought no profit. "Has anyone answered our emergency signal?" Hannah asked. Communications Officer Yuna shook her head sadly. Her long, thin fingers danced over the living control panels that pulsed like a slow heartbeat. 5 ships have passed close enough to hear us calling for help. All of them kept flying. 2 were hegemony military ships. 3 were trader vessels. None of them care if we live or die. The bridge grew quieter as the life support system struggled. The air tasted stale and thin. Through the clear sections of the ship's hull, Hannah could see the cold stars that would soon become their grave. Her people believed that when bioships died in space, their spirits joined the star streams and sang forever in the cosmic wind. It was a beautiful thought, but she was not ready to become a song just yet. "Captain," Yuna said suddenly, her voice rising with surprise. "New contact on sensors. Small ship, only 1 person inside. It is changing direction to come toward us." "What species?" Hannah asked, hope flickering in her chest like the dying lights around them. "The computer says, ... human, single pilot. The ship moves with purpose, not like the others who just fly past us." Hannah had heard stories about humans. Most species in the galaxy said they were violent and dangerous, always fighting wars and taking what they wanted by force. The Hegemony Coalition called them a threat to galactic peace. But right now, any help was better than dying alone in the dark. The human ship was tiny compared to the gentle current, barely larger than an escape pod. Its metal hull looked cold and hard, nothing like the warm, living curves of Cathara design, but it moved toward them with steady confidence, and that gave Hannah more hope than she had felt in hours. "This is Dr. Park of the Earth vessel Perseverance," came a voice over the communication system. The words were spoken in standard language, but with an accent Hannah had never heard before. "I am reading critical life support failure on your ship. Do you need help?" The question was so simple and direct that Hannah almost cried. After hours of being ignored by passing ships, someone had finally asked if they needed help. "Yes," she replied, her voice breaking with emotion. "Please, we are dying. Our ship friend is very sick, and we cannot heal it. We have tried everything." "I am coming alongside your vessel now," Dr. Park responded. "Prepare for docking. I have medical supplies and power cells that might help." As the human ship moved closer, Hannah watched through the biohull's clear sections. The vessel was clearly designed by a species that thought differently than the Cathara, where their ships grew in smooth, flowing shapes that copied life itself. The human craft was all angles and straight lines, built for efficiency and speed, but it moved with careful precision as it approached their docking port, and Hannah could sense the skill and experience of its pilot. "Why is she helping us?" asked Minho quietly. "What does she want in return?" Hannah touched the ship's nerve center. again, feeling its weak pulse under her palm. I do not know, but right now, I do not care about her reasons. She came when no one else would. The docking tube extended from the human ship and sealed against their hull with a soft thud. Air pressure equalized between the vessels. For a moment, everything was quiet, except for the labored breathing of the dying bioship around them. Then the airlock opened, and Hannah got her first look at a human being. Dr. Park was smaller than Hannah had expected, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. She wore a simple work suit and carried a bag of tools and supplies. But what struck Hannah most was the expression on the human's face as she looked around the bioship's living interior. There was no fear or disgust, only curiosity and immediate concern. "Show me where the damage is worst," Dr. Park said, without wasting time on formal introductions. "We need to work fast." Dr. Soman Park stepped inside the alien ship and felt like she had entered the belly of a giant creature. The walls were warm and soft, pulsing gently like a slow heartbeat. Tubes filled with glowing liquid ran along the ceiling like blood vessels. Everything was alive, and everything was in pain. "I have never seen technology like this," Soman said, running her hand along the smooth wall. She could feel it trembling under her touch. "Your ship is a living being." Captain Hannah nodded sadly. "All Kithara's ships are grown, not built. We plant a seed and care for it as it becomes our home and companion. This ship has been with my family for 3 generations. Watching it die is like losing a beloved friend." Soman followed Hannah deeper into the ship, her medical scanner beeping as it tried to understand the bio readings around them. The other crew members looked exhausted and scared. Their skin, which should have glowed with soft light, appeared dim and gray. They were dying, along with their ship. "The damage started here," Engineer Jihos said, leading them to a section where the walls looked dark and sick. Green fluid leaked from torn vessels, and the nerve clusters that controlled the ship's functions flickered weakly. "When we hit the debris, metal pieces cut through the main neural pathways. The pain and trauma spread through the whole nervous system." Soman knelt beside the damaged area and carefully opened her medical kit. "In human medicine, we sometimes see similar problems when the spinal cord is hurt. The damage spreads if we do not stop it quickly." She pulled out a neural stabilizer designed for human use. "This might work if I can adapt it to your ship's biology." For the next 6 hours, Soman worked without rest. She crawled through narrow spaces inside the ship's body, following the damaged nerve pathways and trying to repair them. The Kithara crew helped as much as they could, but their technology was so different from human methods that Soman had to invent solutions as she went. "Try connecting this power cell here," she told Minho, showing him how to attach one of her ship's backup batteries to a major nerve cluster. The electrical current might help restart the healing process. The ship shuddered slightly, and some of the wall lights grew a little brighter. But it was not enough. The biovessel was still dying, just more slowly now. "We need something to feed the healing process," Soman said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "In human medicine, we use certain minerals to help damaged nerves grow back. Do you have anything like that?" Hannah shook her head. "Our supplies were damaged in the accident. We have no healing minerals left." Soman was quiet for a moment, thinking hard. Then she made a decision that would change everything. "Wait here," she said, and ran back to her own ship. She returned carrying a sealed container marked with warning labels. "These are rare earth elements I was collecting for my research," she explained, carefully opening the container to reveal crystalline fragments that sparkled with inner light. "They are worth about 3 years of my salary, and I need them to complete my mission. But if they can save your ship, you would give up something so valuable for us?" asked Communications Officer Yuna, her large eyes wide with surprise. "We are strangers to you. You do not know us at all." Soman smiled as she began sprinkling the precious minerals into the ship's nutrient channels. "I know you need help. That is enough. The effect was immediate and amazing. The rare earth elements dissolved into the ship's bloodstream and spread throughout its body. Damaged nerves began to reconnect. The walls grew brighter and stronger. The ship's heartbeat became steady and strong once again. "It is working," Jiho said with wonder in his voice. "The neural pathways are healing faster than I have ever seen." But Somin was not finished. She worked for 6 more hours, making sure every damaged system was repaired. She shared her food and water with the grateful Cathara crew. She even gave them medical supplies from her emergency kit, just in case they had problems during their journey home. "You have given us our lives back," Captain Hannah said, as Somin prepared to return to her own ship. Tears of joy streamed down the alien captain's luminous cheeks. "How can we ever repay such kindness?" "You do not need to repay me," Somin replied. "Just help someone else when they need it. That is how kindness spreads through the galaxy." As she prepared to leave, Hannah stopped her with a gentle touch on her arm. "Wait, there is something we must give you." The captain disappeared for a moment and returned with a small, glowing seed about the size of a marble. "This is from our memory trees. If you plant it in your ship, it will grow and connect you to our people forever. Through it, you will always be family to the Cathara." Somin accepted the gift with both hands, feeling its warm pulse against her palms. "Thank you. I will treasure it." Later, as both ships prepared to go their separate ways, Somin watched the gentle current through her viewport. The bioship now blazed with healthy light, its crew saved and its future secured. She had lost her precious research materials, but she had gained something much more valuable. She had made friends among the stars. The memory tree seed sat in a small pot in Summon's quarters, glowing softly like a tiny star. For the first 3 weeks after she planted it, nothing happened except for the gentle pulsing light that seemed to match her own heartbeat. Then one morning, she woke to find a delicate silver shoot reaching toward the ceiling, no bigger than her finger, but already beautiful in a way that made her catch her breath as her survey mission continued through the outer sectors. The tree grew slowly but steadily. Its trunk became smooth and metallic, while its leaves shimmered with colors that changed based on Summon's mood. When she felt lonely during the long journey through empty space, the leaves turned deep blue. When she discovered something exciting in her research, they blazed with golden light. But the most amazing thing happened when she touched the tree's trunk with her bare hand. Suddenly, her mind filled with images and feelings that were not her own. She saw Captain Hannah standing before a great assembly of Cathara, telling the story of the human who had saved the gentle current. She felt the joy and wonder of thousands of aliens as they heard about Summon's kindness for the first time. The human gave everything she had to save strangers, Hannah was saying to the gathered crowd. She asked for nothing in return. "This is what true civilization looks like, my people. This is the kind of species we should call our friends." Through the memory tree's connection, Somin watched as the story spread from ship to ship, colony to colony, across all of Cathara space. Every biovessel carried the tale in its living memory banks. Children learned about the rescue as part of their education. Artists created beautiful songs and paintings celebrating the moment when one human showed mercy to dying aliens. 4 months later, when Salman finally finished her survey mission and turned toward home, she expected a quiet return to the research station where she worked. Instead, her sensors detected 3 large ships waiting at the edge of human space. The vessels were clearly Cathara design, their biohulls glowing with welcome patterns that made them look like friendly sea creatures swimming through the stars. "Dr. Park," came a familiar voice over the communication system. It was Captain Hannah, speaking much better standard language than during their first meeting. "We have been waiting for you to come home, waiting for me." "But why?" Somin asked, though her heart already knew the answer as the memory tree pulsed with warm light beside her. "Because you are family now," Hannah replied simply. "And family should be welcomed home with gifts and celebration. The Cathara ships escorted Salmon to Research Station Alpha 7, where Station Commander Tajin was waiting with a very confused expression on his face. "Salmon, what exactly did you do out there?" he asked as soon as she docked. "These aliens arrived 2 weeks ago with ships full of presents. They keep asking for the kind human who saved our people. They want to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth, and they say it is all because of you." Over the next few hours, Salmon learned just how much her simple act of mercy had changed things. The Kithara had sent ambassadors to every major human colony and military base. They offered to share their biotechnology, their art, their knowledge of deep space navigation. They wanted to establish trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense treaties. "We have studied your species since the rescue," explained Ambassador Yuna, who had been the communications officer on the Gentle Current. "Most of the galaxy tells stories about human violence and aggression. They say you are dangerous warmongers who take what you want by force. But Dr. Park showed us the truth. Humans help those who need help, even when it costs them everything." The memory tree in Summon's quarters had grown large enough that its branches touched the walls of her room. Through its connection, she could feel the thoughts and emotions of Cathara across the galaxy. They were excited, hopeful, grateful. They had found something they had thought was lost forever in their cold, hostile universe. Friends who would help them simply because it was the right thing to do. "Your people saved us," Captain Hannah said during the formal welcome ceremony. "Not just the crew of one ship, but our entire species. For generations, we have been alone, ignored by the strong, and preyed upon by the cruel. We began to believe that kindness was weakness, that mercy was foolishness. Then Dr. Park answered our distress call when no one else would." Station Commander Tajin looked stunned as he read through the formal alliance proposal the Cathara had prepared. "This is incredible, Somin. They are offering us access to bioship technology, advanced medical knowledge, even safe passage through their territory. All because you helped fix their ship." Somin touched the memory tree's trunk and felt the warm gratitude of an entire civilization flowing through her mind. "I just did what anyone should do when someone needs help," she said quietly. "That is exactly why we choose you," Hannah replied with a smile. "In a galaxy where anyone usually means no one, humans still believe in helping strangers. We pledge ourselves to your people, Dr. Park. From this day forward, the Cathara stand with humanity. Your enemies will be our enemies. Your friends will be our friends. Your struggles will be our struggles." Through the memory tree, Somin felt the unanimous agreement of billions of Kithara across hundreds of worlds. One act of kindness had created an alliance that would reshape the balance of power in their corner of the galaxy. She just hoped they were all ready for what would come next. 5 years had passed since the rescue of the Gentle Current, and Ambassador Somin Park now spent most of her time traveling between human and Cathara worlds, helping the two species learn to work together. The memory tree in her personal quarters had grown so large that its silver branches filled the entire room, creating a living network that connected her to thousands of Cathara minds across the galaxy. On this particular morning, Salmon woke to the tree pulsing with urgent red light. Through its connection, she felt waves of fear and confusion coming from Kithara space. Something was very wrong. She rushed to the communication center of the diplomatic station, where she was staying, and found Captain Hannah's face on the main screen, looking older and more worried than Salmon had ever seen her. "Salmon, we need you to come to our home system immediately," Hannah said, without her usual warm greeting. "The Hegemony Coalition has sent us a message. They are giving us a choice, and it is not a good one." 6 hours later, Salmon stood in the Great Council chamber of the Cathara homeworld, surrounded by the flowing organic architecture that her people had grown over thousands of years. The walls themselves were alive, pulsing with nervous energy As hundreds of Cathara leaders gathered to discuss their crisis, Elder Hannah, now bearing the scars and wisdom that came with leading her people through difficult times, activated a holographic display that showed the entire galaxy. Red markers indicated the positions of massive hegemony battle fleets, all moving toward Cathara in human territory. 3 days ago, we received this message from Supreme Commander Vex of the Hegemony Coalition, Hannah said, her voice heavy with sadness. A new hologram appeared, showing a tall, armored figure with cold, mechanical eyes. Cathara, the recorded message began in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. For too long, you have disrupted galactic order by aligning yourselves with the human threat. Your friendship with these violent primitives encourages other weak species to resist proper authority. This ends now, the holographic commander continued with emotionless precision. You have 2 choices. First, you can prove your loyalty to galactic stability by helping us establish a blockade around all human colonies, cut off their trade routes, prevent their expansion, and assist us in containing their aggressive tendencies. Do this, and the hegemony will allow your species to continue existing under our protection. Soman felt her blood turn cold as she listened to the ultimatum. Your second choice, Commander Vex continued, is to maintain your foolish alliance with humanity. If you choose this path, the hegemony will consider you equally dangerous and will take appropriate action. Our military analysis indicates complete pacification of Cathara space can be achieved within 37 days. The hologram ended, leaving the council chamber in heavy silence. Salman looked around at the faces of her alien friends and saw fear, anger, and deep sadness in their large, expressive eyes. Defense Coordinator Kyung stepped forward with tactical displays, showing the true scope of what they faced. The hegemony has mobilized 8 full battle fleets, he reported grimly. Over 3,000 warships, including their largest dreadnoughts. Our bioships are advanced in many ways, but we are not a military species. We never developed weapons designed for large-scale war. How long would we last if they attack? Asked one of the younger council members. Kyung's answer was brutally honest. Perhaps 3 days, if we fight well. Maybe a week if we run and hide. But in the end, they will hunt down every Cathara ship and colony in the galaxy. We cannot win against such overwhelming force. Murmurs of despair rippled through the chamber. Some council members began talking about the practical necessity of abandoning their human friends to save their own people. Others argued that betraying their allies would destroy everything the Cathara believed in. The hegemony expects us to think like them, Elder Hannah said, raising her voice above the worried conversations. They believe all relationships are based on fear and profit. They think we became friends with humanity because we wanted protection or trade benefits. They cannot understand that some bonds are formed from simple gratitude and respect. Soman felt the memory tree's connection burning in her mind, carrying the thoughts and feelings of Cathara across their entire civilization. Through the living network, she sensed their internal struggle between survival and honor, between the practical choice and the right choice. What does your heart tell you to do? Salman asked quietly, though she already knew the answer from the emotions flowing through the memory tree. Hannah looked around the chamber at her fellow leaders. Then, at the human ambassador who had become family to their people. We remember the dying ship, she said simply. We remember the human who came when no one else would. We remember someone who gave everything she had to save strangers, asking nothing in return. The other council members nodded slowly, their decision becoming clear, despite the terrible cost it would bring. The hegemony may destroy our bodies, Hannah continued, but they cannot destroy what we have learned about honor and friendship. We stand with humanity, whatever the price may be. Through the memory tree, Soman felt the unanimous agreement of billions of Cathara across hundreds of worlds. They knew they were choosing death over betrayal, but they chose it willingly. That makes it a death sentence for both our species, Soman whispered. Perhaps, Hannah replied calmly. But some things are worth dying for. You taught us that 5 years ago. Admiral Soman Park stood on the bridge of the human flagship Indomitable, watching as enemy ships appeared from hyperspace, like angry red stars. The Hegemony Coalition had brought everything they promised, 8 massive battle fleets stretching across the darkness of space, their weapons already charging for the attack that would end to civilizations. Enemy count confirmed, reported Captain Jiwan from his tactical station. 3,200 vessels. They outnumber our combined fleet 4 to 1. Through the memory tree connection that now linked every ship in their alliance, Soman felt the calm determination of the Cathara crews aboard their biovessels. Their ships glowed like living jewels against the black void, beautiful and fragile compared to the angular metal warships of the Hegemony. All human vessels, this is Admiral Park Salman broadcast across their fleet. Today, we fight not for territory or resources, but for the simple idea that friendship matters more than fear. The Kithara chose to stand with us when they could, have saved themselves by betrayal. Now we show the galaxy what that loyalty means to humanity. The response came immediately from dozens of ship captains across their small fleet. Ready to fight, Admiral. Standing by for orders. Let them come. We will not abandon our friends. But then something happened that no military strategist had predicted. New ships began dropping out of hyperspace behind the human Cathara formation. Not military vessels, but converted cargo haulers, mining ships, research craft, even luxury passenger liners. Every human who could reach the battle was arriving to help. This is Transport Captain Dong Yoon. Aboard the Lucky Break came one transmission. I am carrying medical supplies, and I have some mining explosives in my hold. Just tell me where you need me. Civilian vessel Star Dancer, reporting for duty, called another voice. I run tours for rich tourists, but my ship has good shields, and I am not running away while our friends are in danger. Research vessel Deep Thinker here. I have got a hold full of graduate students, and some very advanced sensors. We want to help. Supreme Commander Vex of the Hegemony watched this development with cold confusion from his flagship. Why are non-military vessels joining the battle? He asked his tactical officer. Do humans use civilians as shields? No, sir, came the reply. Our intelligence suggests they are here voluntarily. They appear to be ... helping. The concept was so foreign to Hegemony, thinking that Vex simply dismissed it as human madness. Begin the attack. Destroy them all. What followed became known as the Battle of the Twin Nebulae, and military historians would study it for generations. The Hegemony had superior numbers and firepower, but they had never faced an enemy like this alliance of humans and Kithara. Bioships revealed capabilities that amazed even their human allies. When human vessels took damage, nearby Cathara ships would extend living tendrils to repair them in the middle of combat. When weapons overheated, biovessels shared their cooling systems. When human crews were injured, Cathara healing technology kept them fighting. This is impossible, reported a Hegemony tactical officer as he watched a human destroyer that should have been destroyed continue. Fighting after a Cathara ship literally grew new armor plating over its damaged hull. Their ships are healing each other. But the real shock came when the civilian vessels proved they could fight too. Mining ships used their cutting beams to slice through enemy hulls. Transport vessels rammed Hegemony cruisers, their captains, choosing sacrifice over surrender. Research ships used their advanced sensors to guide Alliance weapons with deadly accuracy. Cargo hauler Big Dreams to Admiral Park came a transmission from an old freighter as it limped toward a massive Hegemony battleship. My engines are dead and my crew is evacuated, but I still have a full load of industrial explosives. Permission to make one last delivery. Granted, Soman replied, tears streaming down her face as she watched the brave captain guide his dying ship into the enemy vessel's engine core. The explosion lit up space like a new star, Supreme Commander Vex finally understood what he was facing when his own officers began reporting that their crews were confused and demoralized. "Sir, the humans keep coming. No matter how many we destroy, more ships arrive. They are not fighting for conquest or resources. They appear to be fighting for ... emotional reasons." "That is impossible," Vex replied. "No species fights wars based on feelings. There must be some profit motive we do not understand." But as the battle continued and hegemony losses mounted, the truth became clear. Humanity would go to war for their friends, and they would keep fighting until every last ship was destroyed, rather than abandon those who had shown them loyalty. When the hegemony fleet finally retreated in defeat, leaving behind nearly half their ships, the message spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed communications. A new power had emerged, not based on fear or conquest, but on the simple idea that some things were worth protecting. In the aftermath, as damaged ships limped back to friendly ports and the wounded were cared for, Admiral Solman Park and Elder Hannah stood together aboard the rebuilt Gentle Current, now serving as the flagship of their alliance. "One act of kindness," Hannah said softly, touching the memory tree that now grew on every ship in their fleet. "It changed the entire galaxy." "The best things usually start small," Samin agreed, thinking of a dying ship and a choice to help when help was needed most. Around them, other species were already sending ambassadors, asking to join what would become the Mutual Defense Compact. The age of ruling through fear was ending, replaced by something the galaxy had almost forgotten: the power of friendship.